Exactly 15 minutes past 9, Smart Means Business. I'm Andrew Barija with Masi Katsumi, and we are definitely discussing matters to do with the women. And in particular today, the center has been around their participation, most especially when it comes to the digital inclusion, the challenges that we still have with the 13% gap that is between the men and the women when it comes to matters of financial inclusion. Now, like we mentioned earlier, bro, from the FinScope study, all the way from 2019, when we had a population of 30% excluded, that is inclusive of the women, which took the biggest percentage. And from 2009, we came to 2013. We saw 15% of the population excluded financially, and there was an improvement in line with that. Coming to 2018, seeing a 22% of the women, that is of men excluded, and 23% of the women included. And the challenge was still in line with the adaptation to technology. And Masi Katsumi mentioned something in line with digital literacy for women, which is quite a disturbing factor. But away from that still, as the years have progressed, we've seen women taking part in leadership positions in different companies, the rise of women. And according to a report with the MasterCard Foundation, we had a 41% increase of women in managerial positions. This is a report for the year 2021. And we know that this has also significantly had an impact when it comes to economic growth and development due to the brand visibility that these women have been able to contribute.
Yeah, I do understand really, and much as we have women representation on the point of legislation, you talk about Parliament of Uganda, there's a number of women in there, and that is also part of inclusion.
Part of inclusion, yes.
But of course, you see, it is still the women participation in leadership still remains low. However much we have in top executives, legislations, and the likes, and of course, women holding 37% of senior management positions in the private sector.
37%.
Yes, and 36.2% leadership in the public sector. Yeah, and of course, one of the challenges I think they'll face over time is gender bias.
Gender bias.
The fact that you are a woman. There are some companies or organizations that do not like to employ women. Why? Because the inconveniences of motherhood, and you're a wife, you have to go earlier to home, you have to have sick for maternal leave. So those inconveniences, they feel like she's going to come in, she's married, inconveniences, she'll be asking for a leave, I'm going to work. So there is always that bias people have towards
the women.
They feel inconvenienced. And of course, remember the time when they wanted to pass the leave, maternal leave, extending it to 6 months. So you can imagine the inconvenience of a person who has been a top leader and you're missing in action for 6 months.
No, I think it's the reason that's why you have to teach. You need to have somebody that you're teaching some of these concepts, that the juniors you teach, your disciples you teach. Yeah, it's key and important, because, by the way, the more you teach these people to be exactly like you, the lesser your work is. But if you want to be dominant, that means your absence will mean key decisions won't be met because they're waiting for you, and that will limit the company's growth and development. And this might end the company might end up losing out on potential contracts because you can't sign a contract because so and so has to be here.
Yeah. So you can imagine the gap that we have 36% in the private sector, or managerial roles. Yeah, but of course, that is the percentage. It has increased, actually. It has really increased from way back. The situation in Uganda was really dire when it came to women. You weren't supposed to do certain things. And of course, there is also one of the challenges, lack of representation.
Representation.
Yeah. People do not have enough role models. We have a few, actually, women that we look up to, women that have really made it compared to what men have. We have a lot few women that we look up to, mostly for the young girls.
Role models.
Yeah,
and-
for the young girls. That is why we are reckless these days as youth. We are like reckless. We would not strive to look up someone and be like, I want to be.
They're not deliberate
Deliberate.
in terms of decisions of who to follow, what kind of literature we should actually acquaint ourselves with, most especially for the side of the ladies. But plus, we cannot also deny the fact that there are quite enormous advantages that companies which employ women in
trust.
those roles. Let's talk about the trust issue.
Yeah.
For the women.
Yeah. In most cases, I think why most women are given managerial roles is naturally men feel women are trustworthy. You know, when it comes to planning on organization and finances. Rarely will you hear women in financial scandals. Maybe these days. Yeah. But naturally, people feel like women, you can entrust a woman with something. If they're reasonable enough, they can even multiply it.
Multiply it.
Yes. Yeah, so there is that aspect of trust, and that is what most companies are looking out for. People they can trust. It's no longer about the ability that you have, it's about trust. Can I leave this amount of money in there? Can I trust that the company is going to run even when I'm not available? And women have that kind of characteristic in them naturally.
Absolutely. And also we can't deny the fact that we have enhanced decision making because we see the fact that diverse perspectives can lead to more well-rounded strategies. Talking about creative abilities when it comes to, for example, in the marketing perspective, you know, diversifications in terms of providing solutions to how to see how products can actually move faster. And this has been really witnessed by companies enrolling women with the roles of marketing manager. Decisions which are solution oriented, you know, are part of the key benefits. And we see stronger brand connection. We can't deny that fact.
Yeah, women.
From the public relations perspective, you know, and all these, marketing positions representing this, because women often possess some sort of an understanding of consumer behavior preferences by nature.
Yeah, by nature. Yeah, I do agree with you. And of course, you know, when you compare the intake of a certain brand where a woman is involved in and a man, you realize people will the brand where there is a woman, they will actually take it in because it's a woman. It's they're usually the face of organizations, of companies, you know, because attraction is really.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolute.
Okay. And also the fact of the detailed knowledge about consumer preferences, because when you have the consumer preferences, the marketing bit of it is like, once you get to know what these people want, you will be able to influence production decisions, you know, in terms of ingredients, in terms of quality and the balancing of stuff, such that you have a particular product that is tailored to a specific group of people. Because most companies have been having issues with sales because of that, because you're guaranteed that your sales in a certain region is picking up is not absolutely entirely true for another region, because probably by chance, maybe you found yourself that what you're distributing to that market is in line with their taste and preferences. But now this is a different market and you can't tell that. And women have the ability to detect that. So them being a part of the managerial roles, I think that's quite a beneficial aspect in there. Now, of course, here the report regards what we call the female demographics, saying here leading to more targeted and effective marketing campaigns. Marketing campaigns are quite expensive for companies.
Yeah, quite expensive. You have to invest in a lot.
You invest in a lot, but the sad bit of it is, are you experiencing the return on investment from the marketing campaign? You've spent about 50 million on a campaign. What is that campaign bringing back to the company coffers? All that. But it all comes in line with having the right preferences and make a product tailored.
Well, of course, yes. Well, one of the challenges that I want you to give me your side of view when it comes to payment.
Payment.
You know, we've had women actually have complaints that their payments are not considerate.
I think that comes in line because let's talk about the education levels here. Because when it comes to employing, it's not about emotions at the end of the day. It's about efficiency.
Yeah.
It's about results. So having the qualification, because I don't think if you be a woman and you have the right qualifications and you can defend those qualifications by your work, why would somebody underpay you for sure? I don't think so. Because part of the key perspectives, that's why we've seen the financial inclusion bit where women have been excluded financially. Experts highlight out matters to do with education levels.
Education levels.
Yeah.
So if I have the required education levels,
And you can defend those levels in terms of work.
Because we've actually
Because
seen.
we don't know even how you got those grades.
Really?
I'm just saying. I'm trying to be factual here. Defend that
But
grade.
we've
defend the
actually
work.
seen women more engaging in further studies. Women these days are
They are.
engaged-
They are.
yeah, we
They are.
have
They are.
professors
Yeah.
and the like. But then I think the reason as to why people still have that disparity of men maybe could be adding. It's just that women tend to work for lesser hours, you realize? Because
A bit.
you know, they are considerate with women. If you come in late, it's kind of understandable. So so that is where, you know, but if you are good enough, then the pay will come.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because most of the women's perspective towards the world is more logical and psychological. Unlike women, most of it has something to do with academic. What you see, what you get, what you study here, it becomes, for you to relate with it, it's more of, can I call it, it's like living in a cramped world in some kind of a way. Academic, you find that most of the solutions that men give to, for example, if they are put in those technical positions like marketing, they are more of academic. But for women's case, it is more of logical. You know, you depend on what is on the ground. Remember what I told you last time, that sometimes the decisions you make as a company, for example, recently we saw the CEO of Jumia who was complaining about how it was not performing well in Africa. And actually some operation centers were halted operations. And he was mentioned something in line with, when you compare the trends in the European markets, if you be a CEO and you try to incorporate those in Africa or like Uganda, you do just a copy and paste, you will fail horribly and you will make huge losses and your company will be trashed out of the company. Out of the continent. Why? Because you didn't, your mode of operation is not in line with the way of life of the people you're working with. So the mode of operation should be in line with the people. You know, if you've been making billions in the European market, you may only make millions here, which can't sustain you to run other plants you have in other countries, because then Africa will seem like a loss. You know, because why? There is no critical thinking in terms of the mode of operation vis-a-vis the livelihoods of the people. And women are very excellent at that. It's not, they're not the kind of a copy and paste. So if maybe that company had a woman as a market researcher and surveyor, they would actually be able to adjust their mode of operation.
I feel like maybe because women are more on the creative side.
The creative side a bit.
Yeah.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
All right, 29 minutes past 9. Let's take a quick break. And of course, we're still returning with further discussions in relation to women's participation in the economy.